If you've got no experience and you're applying to jobs and hearing nothing back, this video is for you. I'm going to show you the exact 3-step system that I use to get candidates with zero experience hired at some of the most competitive companies in the world. And I'm going to prove it works with real examples. Now, I had a candidate called John, and he had basically nothing. He just graduated from a university with an economics degree. I think he got a 2-2. He had no internships, no relevant experience, no connections in finance. And he'd sent over 200 applications with zero interviews, like not a single one. And I completely get why it's frustrating. You do everything that you're told to do, and you spend hours tailoring your CV, and you apply to 50 jobs a week, and you hear absolutely nothing back. And it's like you're invisible. And here's what happened with John. We didn't change his experience because obviously we couldn't get him a job instantly. We changed how he presented himself. Within a few months, he landed his analyst role at Citadel at one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. Zero experience on paper, hired at one of the most competitive firms you can apply to. So keep watching because I'm going to show you the exact 3-step system that got John and dozens of other candidates with zero experience hired. And I'm going to give you everything you need to do it yourself. So for context, I've coached hundreds of candidates through this exact situation. And I've built recruitment software and spoken to hundreds of hiring managers. I've been doing this for the last 6 years. And there's one thing that I hear from hiring managers over and over again. 86% of the time, when a candidate gets rejected, it has nothing to do with their skills or their experience. It's how they communicate, and it's how they present themselves. And that's actually really good news if you're watching this, because with no experience, it means that the thing that actually gets you hired isn't something that you're missing. You just haven't learned how to use what you already have. So step 1 is about building a personal brand story that makes people remember you. Now, I know this sounds like something that you would hear on an aspirational LinkedIn post, but let me explain what I actually mean. Most candidates with no experience, when they try and talk about themselves, they lead with what they've done. You know, I studied economics. I know Excel. I did a group project on market analysis. And the problem with that is that everybody says the same thing. I had 2 candidates competing for the same analyst role at a wealth management firm. Candidate A had a PPE degree from Oxford. He had a Big 4 internship. And like on paper, he was the perfect candidate. Then I had candidate B. He had a petroleum engineering degree and nothing on his CV screamed finance. But he had this energy, he had the storytelling around him, he had the passion. And when they were both applying for the same role, that company, the wealth management firm, specialized in energy and oil investments. And candidate B was the one that actually got hired. And now he's at JP Morgan. And the reason is because he didn't list what he'd done. He told them why he was there. So here's the framework, and it's called the golden circle. And it's the foundation to everything I teach. So most candidates, when they communicate, they do it outside in. They start with what they've done, then maybe like how they did it, but they never say why. And the winning approach is inside out. You start with the why, then the how, and then the what. So your personal brand story has 4 parts. Part 1 is your personal backstory, who you are, where you came from. Part 2 is the trigger, something that you noticed, something, and it happened inside you, that moment when you thought, yeah, this is interesting, this needs to change. Part 3 is then that feeling when it becomes obvious of what you actually wanted to do. And part 4 is then your mission, the impact that you want to make. So going back to John, his story wasn't, I studied economics at Manchester. His story was, he grew up in a household where money was always tight. He started noticing that the biggest decisions affecting people's lives weren't about politics or education. They were financial. And then he wanted to go behind those decisions and understand, using financial analysis to create outcomes that actually mattered to real people. And that's the same person, same degree, same zero experience, but completely different energy. And that story went into his CV summary, his LinkedIn About section, his cover letter opening, and answers like, tell me about yourself in every interview. It was consistent in every single touch point. So I want you to go and grab a piece of paper right now and answer these 4 questions. What is your background? What was the moment that sparked your interest in the industry you want to go into? When did it click that this was something that you actually wanted to pursue? And then finally, what impact do you want to make? That is your story. You write those answers down and you already sound different to the 90% of other candidates who are applying to the same roles as you. Now, step 2 is replacing applications with targeted networking. And I know that's not what you want to hear. Like everybody just wants to apply online and just get an interview. But here's the problem. When you have zero experience, the application game is completely stacked against you. There are about 319 applicants for every single role right now. That's the highest it's been in 30 years. And most companies use ATS, an automated tracking system, to filter candidates before a human even looks at your CV. And those systems are scanning for keywords like 3 years of experience or managed a team of 5. And they use knockout questions. And if you don't have those key questions answered in the right way, you're going to get filtered out automatically. So 200 applications and 0 interviews isn't a surprise. You're competing in a game you literally cannot win. Not yet, anyway. And here's the other thing that most people don't know. About 75% of the jobs are never posted publicly. They get filled through referrals, internal hires, and conversations that happen way before the job ever hits the job board. So when you're only applying online and you're competing with over 300 people for 25% of the available roles, and on top of that, 32% of the job posts you've even seen are fake or already been filled. So the new way of applying to jobs is networking. And specifically, I want you to start with alumni, people who went to the same university or school as you, who are now working in the field that you want to get into. They're the most viable and the most approachable contact that you can reach out to. And I use a system with my students called the LATR. List, ask, track, and repeat. So first, you're going to build a list of people you want to reach out to. Go on LinkedIn, search for your university and filter by the industry or company you're interested in. And then go and find people who are 1 to 3 years ahead of you and then send them a message. And here's the key. Your message needs to sound casual but relatable and have a really simple ask. So something like, "Hi Alex, I noticed that you were also at University of Manchester and you're an analyst at Palantir, a career path I'm working towards. Would you say Python or SQL is better to learn at my stage?" That's it. It's about them, it's relatable, and it takes 10 seconds for them to answer. And most candidates, what they do is they say, "Dear Alex, I'm a first-year student at the University of Manchester, and I'm applying to your company's internship. What's the culture like?" And that just sounds like every other message. It's too formal, it's not about them, and the question is just too big. And I had a candidate called Alexia, and she spent 3 months applying to jobs online. Again, 0 interviews. And what switched for her was this approach. She started to reach out to alumni in wealth management. And she got a 22% reply rate, which means roughly 1 in 5 people messaged her back. She turned those into 6 coffee chats and 2 proper interviews. And she landed a role as a client manager without sending a single job application. And the data backs all of this up. When you name drop someone from your company in your application, "Oh, I spoke to Alex from your analytics team who recommended I apply," your chances of getting an interview go up by 32%. And if they actually refer you internally, it's a 400% increase. And this is not theory. This is how people with 0 experience actually get hired. So step 3 is turning your non-experience into real experience on paper. So most candidates with no experience, they look at their CV and they think, "We've got nothing to put on it." But you do. You just don't know how to present it yet. So the formula is action verb plus method plus result. So instead of writing, "completed a group project on market analysis," you write, "led a 4-person team analyzing market entry strategies for a fintech startup, presenting findings to a panel of industry judges and receiving the highest grade in the cohort." Same project, same candidate, but now it sounds like real experience. And you can do this with anything. It could be academic projects, society roles, freelance work, volunteering, even personal projects, even part-time retail. All of that has transferable skills if you frame it right. And I had a candidate called Daniel, and he was an international student, and his CV was basically just empty when we started. But he'd done a couple of university projects, and he helped organize events for his finance society. And he'd done some part-time work. And we rebuilt every bullet point pointing to that formula. And he ended up sending 23 applications. 6 of them got interviews, and he received 2 job offers. That's a 26% conversion rate. And the average that I see for most candidates is between 2 and 3 that you can use inside ChatGPT to help you reformat your bullet points, but you need to know that formula first. So if you just paste your CV into ChatGPT and say, "make it better," it's going to give you generic corporate language that sounds like everybody. But if you give it the formula and the raw experiences, it becomes a genuinely useful tool. So I'll put a link in the description below if you want to use it. So let me just recap what we've covered. So step 1 is building a personal brand story using the Golden Circle framework, so that every time you talk about yourself, you sound different to every other candidate. Step 2 is stop relying on online applications and start networking with alumni using the LATR system. And then step 3 is reframing everything you've already done using the action verb plus method plus result formula. So your CV actually shows impact. So look, if you're sitting here right now with no experience, no idea where to start, I've put everything I've just showed you inside something called the Offer Accelerator. It walks you through this entire system step by step, from building your personal brand to generating interviews and landing offers. And I've got hundreds of candidates who've gone through it, and most of them starting with 0 experience, just like John. And the link is in the description if you want to check it out.